Hey Postables, you're listening to Deliver Me a Podcast, brought to you by Casey, Jess, and Cami.
A special thanks to James Jandrish for letting us use the music on our show.
Now, sit back, relax, grab a Yoo-Hoo and a stamp collection, and here we go.
Hi friends, Jess, Cami, and I are so excited to be back, and we are talking to our good friend Joanna Davidson Politano. Welcome back to the podcast, Joanna.
Hey, Joanna.
I'm really glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's so funny. I was thinking the last time we had you on the podcast was back in 2020, so it's been a while.
Wow. Yeah. Right in the midst of COVID, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot has happened since then.
A lot, yes. And your interview was the one that I recorded on my MacBook, and it totally crashed, so we had to record it again.
I remember that. Oh, I felt so bad for you.
I felt so bad that we had to do it again, but it was so fun. It was fun to do it twice.
Yeah.
It was fun to talk more.
Yeah. Well, since it's been a long time since we've chatted, it's been almost it's been 2 years almost to the date. Tell us what's been new with you. What's been going on?
Well, I'm homeschooling. I have a 3rd grader and a 1st grader. And I think the last time we talked, I may have been expecting my baby, or maybe this was even before that. I don't know, but I have a new baby now. So he's 1, and he's my tag along boy. He's a sweetheart. And we are fostering some kitties right now. And a mama kitty just had 4 little kitties, and then we adopted our own kitten, so it's a little bit of a circus over here. We also have a senior dog, and she doesn't get along with the mama cat, so that's always really fun.
Oh no.
To keep everybody separate, but
And you get writing done how?
nap time is golden.
You've got a full house going on over there.
Oh yeah, I try to get up before the kids, and then when my baby naps in the afternoon, I give my older kids some homework, which is their independent math and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I sit in my computer, I do my Bible time first, and then I sit down and I write, and that's the only way I can get anything done. And then I answer emails in the evening when they're in bed. So I just kind of make it work. And some days
Solid routine.
Yeah.
Some days there's no writing, and that's okay.
Oh, that's so awesome. So your next book, The Lost Melody, releases next week, October 4th. Can you tell us a little bit more about it and the inspiration behind it?
Sure. Well, the inspiration was kind of a dream where I woke up in a place where I had no idea where I was. And so it kind of sparked this idea for a Victorian asylum story. Because a lot of times, there's a lot of fiction about people getting put in an asylum and them having to kind of fight their way out. So this is not exactly that type of story. But there's a woman who is a concert pianist, and because she's in mourning, she cannot play in concerts for about a year. So she goes to work as an aide at a Victorian asylum. She has found out that she is now, with the passing of her father, she is now the guardian of a woman at the asylum who she has no idea who she is. She's never met her, but her picture is very familiar to her. So she is trying to figure out who she is. And the asylum is saying that they have no record of this woman ever being there. So she decides to go in as an aide and figure out what happened. She brings her talents as a musician into this place. And we've got the very beginnings of music therapy. So I have some real characters in there who actually kind of came up with the idea for modern Western music therapy. And so she's working with them. And that was kind of the research aspect of it. There's a whole lot of music in it, a whole lot of mental health things mixed in with that. And then the whole thing is basically set in and out of an asylum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for those of us, or for those who are listening, Casey, Cami, and I, we all have advanced copies. And even though I'm only on chapter 4, I am hooked. Because obviously, I'm the resident mystery queen here. So I love that there's this kind of mystery angle to it. mental health is very big for me as well. And even though I'm not quite the accomplished musician as my other two counterparts here, I do love the theme of the music as well. So I think everyone's gonna really get about this one.
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
on
I'm so
chapter
honored you guys are
7.
reading it.
I'm on chapter 7 and I can't put it down.
And at the time of this recording, I haven't started, but the picture of all of it's very, I don't know, it gives me very fall October vibes. Very,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not like a Halloween book or anything, but it gives me those like really fun, cozy fall, like
Yeah.
not spooky, but like mysterious, very,
Little eerie.
oh yeah, that like kind of gothic kind of vibes, maybe. I don't know. So
Mhm.
anyway, so I'm very excited to start reading this. I wish it would get colder, so maybe this will bring the cold weather so I can cozy up and be all cuddly with the book.
I know, like I'm kind of sad now because I opted for the digital copy, and I'm like, I might need to go back to the publicist and be like, get the physical copy too.
I would.
I think I'm gonna need the physical to just curl up with. It's like the perfect reading weather. And when I really love a book, I want to keep it physically on my shelf. The digital copies aren't any good for that.
Yeah, I've said that about 4,000 times. That's about how many books I have. Oh, there's something about keeping the real physical copy.
Mm-hmm.
I know it doesn't really feel like you've read it unless you can see it sitting there,
Yep.
And then it actually belongs to you.
Yeah.
And then if we ever meet you in real life, you can sign it for us,
Absolutely.
Yes.
You can sign my Kindle.
So you have a lot of very challenging topics in here. You've got music therapy, which can be tricky. You've got mental health, which is very tricky because it's such a broad topic and there are so many facets to it. And then just to keep the theme of music consistent through the whole thing. I mean, I was going, there's more music. Oh, there's more music. It took me a second to get into the metaphoric mindset. And so what did you find was the most challenging part of writing The Lost Melody for you?
Well, first of all, I felt like I had painted myself into a corner by setting it in an asylum because it's all dark all the time in an asylum. So that's why I originally had her coming in and out of the asylum so that we get a little relief from that. But then I kind of started realizing that when there's a lot of darkness, there's a contrast, like you see the light so much better. Like if you turn on a flashlight in daylight, you can't really see it. But in the nighttime, of course, it really shines bright. So all of the music that was in there and the music therapy and some of the tender, beautiful moments came through a lot more because of the dark. So that did make it a little easier. Another difficult part, though, is that when you talk about mental health, it's such a personal thing. Everyone experiences a completely different aspect of it if they're suffering with it. And it's such a personal thing. So it's really hard to capture like a journey that will speak to everyone on the page. I had a lot of different characters struggling with different aspects of mental health, so that helped. I had some variety in there. I have a lot of experience with people in my own life that have Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and bipolar, and depression, and postpartum depression. And so I was drawing a lot from a lot of personal experience. But even with that, it was really difficult to try to put words to something that is so abstract and personal.
Well, so far you nailed it as far as I'm
Thank
concerned.
you. Well, thank you. It was a fun journey.
So while we're on the topic of music, there's just a tiny little paragraph that really caught my eye because I love music. And so it really, really struck me. I walked into the sound of their voices, all tuned to the different melodies locked within each individual and creating a cacophony of noise. it was like no symphony I'd ever heard, but it was oddly enough exactly like the orchestra tuning before a performance, each musician preparing fingers and minds for what was coming. And that, either you are very, very musical or you are very, very thorough with your research. So
Well,
which is it? Are you musical, or did you just really, really do a lot of great research?
I did both, actually. I've been playing the piano since I was really small, maybe I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years old. And so it's just always been, I always feel like I have music in like the kind of the backdrop of my life. There's always like kind of like a song, you know, when you're watching a movie and there's a song that goes with the mood, you can tell when there's like a dangerous moment coming or when the end is coming or something like that. I kind of feel like, I don't know, there's just songs that are in my memory that kind of play every once in a while and stuff like that, just because I've played so much music and I listen to so much music that it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just part of the background in my head. And so I gave that aspect to my character, and then I like really magnified it. So she thinks of everything in terms of music, every person, every room, every experience. She kind of has that background because she plays the piano all the time.
Yeah.
So I also did a lot of research into composers, into music therapy, a whole lot into music therapy. So that really helped. And then I tried to get really into my character's mindset of thinking in terms of music. So yeah, that's where all of that came from.
Do you have a fun fact that you can share about music therapy? Maybe like one thing that jumped out at you that you were like, whoa, did not know that.
Goodness, there's a whole lot, honestly. The coolest thing that I saw was when like each person has their own kind of internal rhythm. So people who have lost their memories, they were able to play music. Like if somebody was young, like say in the 40s, they were able to play big band music. And it was like sending a fishing hook down into their mind and bringing up all the memories associated with that era. So they couldn't remember who their kids were. They couldn't remember their name, but they would start rattling off stories and things that had happened to them during the era of this music. And it was just incredible. And I found out that music actually lives in a part of your brain that is the last to get attacked when you have something like dementia or Alzheimer's. So it's just, it accesses a different part of our brain when we listen to it, and the memory of it is in a different place. So it's like a little secret trap door into our memories. And that was the coolest thing. Some of those videos just really made me cry.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that sounds really fascinating. So my background is in science. But I think, yeah, just learning about the neuroscience behind that just sounds really fascinating.
It was. I was actually surprised the scientific aspect behind it, because a lot of times you think of music therapy almost as like a bubble bath for the senses, like it calms you or something like that. But there's much more. You're trying to engage somebody by tapping into whatever their rhythm is. If they're nervous, it's going to be a faster rhythm. If they're depressed, it may be a slower rhythm. But you tap into it and you get them engaged when they were kind of closing the world out before. And just the brain science behind it was incredible to me.
Well, I know for me that music is tied to memories. And you know, as of right now, I don't have any particular memory problems, but I mean, a song comes up and boom, I am transported back to when I heard that song or when it made an impact on me or whatever. You know, I'm 14 again, or I'm 21 again, or whatever. You know, that's yeah. So I believe that theory 100%.
Yeah. Because music is so tied to our memories. I mean, you hear a song, you get that nostalgia, and you are just overtaken by the senses, and it's really kind of incredible.
Yeah,
I'm a firm believer that we should all have soundtracks to our lives.
Yes.
Playing in the background.
Yep.
That might be a roller coaster for my life.
Yeah, that is pretty fascinating. And I mean, even though, so I played the piano since I was 5. So I recently found a piece of music that I have not touched and I have not seen since I was 14. And like I don't practice as often because too busy, but I sat down and I played it and I was like, oh yeah, it's just like riding a bike. Like, yeah, it was a little rusty, but it wasn't like I wasn't pecking at the piano. I was like, oh yeah, I remember this song. Huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've got like
So
some muscle memory or something in there.
yeah. So I mean, like it ties into, your all your senses.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what kind of music do you guys, I know you said that you have some music backgrounds. And I think Cami, you sing, don't you?
I do. Yeah. I sing, and I've been playing the piano since I was about 7, and I was in a lot of musical theater productions. So that's, yeah, very, very neck and neck with acting.
Yeah. That's so cool.
I played piano from the time I was 5, and then I did orchestra from fourth and 5th grade, took a break 6th and 7th, and then did concert orchestra 8th through 12th grade. And then I've done choir since I was a kid.
Oh, how neat. So lots
Yeah.
of music, lots
Yep.
of variety.
Lots of variety.
And I have no musical background. I did not, music wasn't really a big thing in our family, so I didn't learn any instruments as a kid. Didn't play
You learned
anything.
how to play the recorder.
I can play hot cross buns, guys, on the recorder. So sign me up for the next orchestra. I'm there. No, but I've self-taught myself a little bit as an adult. I do have a keyboard, but it's so hard to learn how to read music fluently as an adult. It's very challenging. It's like your brain just can't like, do it. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, I see the note, and then I have to think about it, and I hit the key, and I'm like, okay, it's very hard.
I have an adult piano student, and she is having the hardest time. She's saying the left hand and right hand are so far away from each other. I can't look at them both at the same time. And I was like, oh yeah, that would be a problem for someone who hasn't been playing their whole lives. You know? So
Yeah.
it just didn't occur to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I've also, as an adult, I learned how to play the guitar a little bit. So I can play a few chords on the guitar. I
Awesome.
do
Play
that.
Smelly Cat from Friends.
I can't play a mean smelly cat.
Your greatest life accomplishment right there.
Right there. And I will say, so my husband recently, and when I say recently, the last few years, probably since the pandemic, he really wanted to play the drums. I was like, no, we're not getting drums in our house. Like, are you kidding me?
Oh no.
It really wore me down. But I will say I have gained a better and a newfound respect for drummers, because let me tell you, having to learn the music, like the drumming music, because it's not notes, it's all beats. Not only that, it's beats for each of the, like the snare, and then like the bass, and then the whatever, all of the things. And then you have your sticks, and then you're doing it like you're crossing your arms, and then you've got to do the different like syncopated beats, like this one's doing
musicality to it.
This one, your foot's doing a thing, and you're kind of like, and I tried, I was like, at first I thought this was kind of dumb, not gonna lie, because to me, like, what is this, a bunch of noise? I mean, it's fine. But then when I actually started trying to learn it, because I was like, oh, I've done music since I was 5, like, oh, and then no ma'am, like I was like, you know what, kudos to all you drummers out there, because that is talent.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So do you play anything else besides the piano? Did you keep up with it as an adult?
I did a little bit. I took classical lessons for most of my life. And then when I stopped taking lessons, I started playing a lot of like the sacred music that I had in my childhood, going to church and stuff like that. And now I just sit down and play. And my 3rd child, my baby, loves music so much. Like, I've never seen a kid. When he was a newborn, I would lay him down on the rug next to the piano, and I'd start playing, and no matter how fussy he was, how terrible everything was, he would stop and listen. And it was just the most amazing thing. So I sit down and play a lot for my kids, just for fun. And I'm trying to teach my 8-year-old to play the piano. It's I don't really know how to teach it. I know how to play it, so it's a bit of a challenge.
I'll give you a couple of book recommendations when we're done here.
Awesome. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, my 7-year-old is in her second year of piano lessons. And it is hard. It is so hard to teach your kid. And also it's also hard to be the parent too. So like for me, I'm like, your fingers, like, come on, like stop doing this number.
Yes. Yes.
Don't rest your wrist on the wood. Come on.
Yeah. So there's like there's a balance there. So I feel you. It's tricky, especially when you know something so simple like that. It's simple to us because we've known it forever, but then trying to teach it to a child, that's a whole other ball game.
Yeah, it's like people ask me sometimes to teach writing stuff. Like they ask me to come and speak, and I'm like, well, I don't know how to explain how to do it.
I just do it.
And it's the same with piano. It's just like you just hold your hands like this, and then you play them like this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember my piano teachers putting newspaper balls under my hands to try to get them to stand upright and have that curve, and the metronome and stuff like that. And I have a hard time doing that to my daughter. Like it just brings back, I don't know. I may have to get her a piano teacher.
No, just don't use the metronome and you'll be fine.
I haven't started her on the metronome because that like haunts my dreams.
Yes, speaking about unlocking memories from our childhood. Tick, tick, tick.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. One thing my daughter came home with was she's like, oh, I can't squish the chickens. So she has to, like, when she starts doing that, she's like, oh yeah, I'm squishing the chickens. So
That's
like,
really good.
getting
I
on
like
top
that.
of the chickens.
That's
We
better
do
than
a
newspaper
bubble.
balls.
Yeah.
we do a bubble. There's a bubble in your hand and you can't pop the bubble. So if you
That's
put your
good.
wrist down, then it'll pop the bubble. If you put your fingers flat, it'll pop the bubble. So you got to keep it like there's a bubble in your hand.
That's
So,
pretty good. I like that too.
Nice.
Yeah.
So do the bubbles and the chickens, and then she'll really keep going.
Oh, fun.
Oh, well, circling back to your book, you talked a little bit about the inspiration and how you got the idea. But when you actually sat down and started writing it, did you feel like it was more driven by the characters or by the plot?
Ooh, that's a good question because they were so integrated. My character was so full of music, and of course that was the plot. I don't know. I think it was one of those things where I got the first scene in my head and I had no idea where it was going to go after that. And the first scene that I wrote was when her father has just passed away and she's playing the piano, and things kind of just unspooled scene by scene by scene from there. And
So wait, that was the first scene that you wrote?
Yes, when I sat down to write, her father had just died and she was in the middle of playing the piano, and she paused and her servant told her what had happened, and then she kept playing and talked about how the song related to their relationship, all tumultuous and things like that.
So then you went back and wrote that first scene later. Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating to me.
Yeah, and actually when I wrote the first draft, she was a patient in the asylum, and she was not even an aide at all. And so I was trying to have some scenes in there that she was not in the asylum, so I had to take that out and rewrite the whole book with her being an aide and everything like that. So yeah, the everything kind of unfolded very naturally. And then when I got the whole story on paper, I took all the puzzle pieces and threw them up in the air and let them land and put back together another puzzle.
Huh.
Okay. Yeah. I think I remember you saying, because I think this was either you were in the beginning stages of writing this book the last time we talked, or it was maybe an idea or something. But I remember you said that she was a patient. So that's interesting how things change in the writing process.
Yes.
I seem
definitely.
to remember you saying that she couldn't figure out if she was being haunted or going insane from spending too much time in it. So So that's what I took from it.
That aspect is still there.
I can feel it. I can feel it.
Yes, the longer she's there, the more she's kind of questioning, because there's a lot of stuff that's going on and she's not sure if she's imagining it or if she's lacking sleep because she does a night shift, or if she's really kind of succumbing, and the line between sanity and madness is being crossed.
This kind of sounds like my life.
Yes, I hear
Oh.
Well, we've kind of danced around this topic a bit, and you could take this question however way you want to take it. It could be about the writing process of this book. It could be a lesson that you gleaned from your characters or whatnot. But what is one lesson that you've learned while writing this book?
Well, I think the biggest thing was that I entered this book not wanting to write it. So I sort of felt like, this was the book that I was supposed to write next, and my publisher had approved it. But I was just like, okay, an asylum book, and there's a lot of stickiness with understanding mental health. I didn't want to necessarily write stuff that I didn't know well enough. So I was kind of dragged into this book and not totally willing. And so my heroine is in a situation that she just does not want to be in many ways. She's dealing with her father's debt, her late father's debt, and possibly losing her livelihood, which is his music shop. And she's got this person that she's now guardian of, who she doesn't know, but she's responsible for. And then she goes to the asylum and she just doesn't want to be there. She gets to the point where she's like, okay, I walked in voluntarily, but I don't want to be here anymore.
Oh,
But she
those
keeps,
places
I know, this was just, but then the more she's in there, the less she wants to be in there. And it becomes less and less her choice as the book goes on too. And for different reasons.
Yep.
And so she's really fighting it. She's like, okay, I have this call in my life that I really want to help women who are stuck in abusive situations and in dangerous situations, and they don't have any options. That is my goal in life. I want to help them. Yet she's in this asylum, and more, she's not able to leave. And so she's kind of discovering a little bit along the way some things that she can sort of do in her situation that she doesn't want to be in. Some things that she can do to be extremely helpful, and things that maybe nobody else can bring to the situation that she can bring. And she kind of likens it to the Apostle Paul in the Bible, who's in house arrest, but still being Paul. He's still writing letters and encouraging people and things like that. So she kind of is beginning to understand that maybe this isn't where she wants to be, but it is definitely where she needs to be. And at one point, the hero in the book even kind of looks at her and realizes, you're right, you don't belong in this asylum, but it is exactly where you're needed. It is exactly where you should be. So I think a lot of times we find ourselves in circumstances that are, other people have chosen for us, or their bad choices have placed us into, or something like that. And we have to kind of muddle through it. But more than just surviving it, that's kind of a waste of an experience if you just survive it and get through to the other side. So she kind of realizes, wow, this is like a golden opportunity that I've been placed in, and I don't necessarily understand why, but let's do this, let's make the most of it. So that's kind of throughout the whole book, I spent a year writing a book that, I absolutely loved the music aspect, but there were parts of it that I was like, okay, I want to move on to the next book. And the heroine was like, okay, I kind of want to move on to the next stage of my life. I want to get through, I have to grieve for a year for my father, according to society's norms, but I really just want to be playing the piano again. And I really want to be out there helping women. But she finds herself in a situation where she's actually needed. And so that was kind of what I took from this book. Somebody can be locked up in some circumstances that they're not wanting to be in, but there's only so much you can lock up about who you are and what you can provide.
One of my favorite parts is that she finds friends.
Yeah.
She finds friends that she thinks don't belong here.
Yes.
And that she can, and I think that I mean, I didn't write the book. I'm only on chapter 7, but I think that they are going to be people who help her get through the experience.
Yes. And she in turn also is able to kind of help them along the way. But I actually really loved the characters, the side characters in this book. Everyone who kind of popped up in the asylum, they were so full of personality and just like possibilities and questions and things like that I wanted the answers to. So it was so much fun to watch them all pop up into the scene.
Well, that's funny you bring up side characters because we were going to move into random fun questions. And my next question was going to be, you can answer, if you were to write a spinoff about a side character, which one would you pick?
Well, I really liked, there's a character in there named Bridget. I really liked her. She's suffering from postpartum depression, which is something people didn't understand in Victorian England. So she's there, but she's so outspoken and authentic. And I just loved that. I married into a very Italian family who's that way. And I really love the warmth and the authenticity of that. So I would love to write her story because I so want her to have a happy ending. And all of these characters, you get a glimpse of their happy ending or not happy ending or whatever it is. But I would love to take that further and just see what becomes of her life once she gets her potential and everything.
Okay.
If you could pick a fictional character that you would like to be friends with, who would it be?
Like any fictional character?
Any fictional character. It can be one of your own. It can be somebody else's. Can be old. Can be new.
I think, I don't know. I would maybe pick Aslan or Mr. Tumnus because oh my goodness, those would be so much fun to talk to. Or maybe Matilda from Roald Dahl's book Matilda.
Yeah.
It was just so interesting. She was so intelligent and so quiet, but so smart. I would love to have conversations with her. I bet it would be a lot of fun.
So while we're on the friendship topic, I just one more thing. So at close range, I noticed a trace of whiskers spread over his pale cheeks, a slight bump in the bridge of his nose. Everything about him breathed welcome and authenticity. Is that what they're calling it now? Dr. Turner is welcome and authentic.
Yeah. Well, I wanted a character. This is my hero, and he's a doctor there. So I so wanted a character that was approachable and just like real. So I didn't want him to be this like Fabio, gorgeous, with long flowing golden locks. I wanted to just be a real guy who maybe forgot to shave this morning because he was up working with patients. And, he broke his nose once. And so there's just a little bit of a hump in his nose, but he's not this perfect model. He's very real.
He's real.
But like, he was so likable just in his personality that I didn't feel like I needed to make him this gorgeous model,
I like him already.
I really liked this hero. I really, really, really liked him a lot.
All right. And our final fun random question is, what are you currently reading?
I'm currently reading Kimberly Woodhouse's new release. I think it's called A Gem of Truth. It's the second in her book on the waitresses in America. I'm blanking on the name right now. But anyway, it's a fabulous book. It's about this girl who's treasure hunting in the canyons, and she's known for being a storyteller. And it's such a good book. She does a great job with her characters, and I just love it.
Fun. I gotta put that on the
long everyone knows what we're currently reading. So.
Yes. So everybody out there, make sure you pre-order The Lost Melody by Joanna. It is lovely. It is beautiful. Look at this cover, trying to make it focus.
Here, I'll help you out.
There you go.
There, yes.
Oh, there we go.
Yes. Get your pre-orders. I'm going to go get my physical copy because I think I'm going to need it.
Yes. And to entice you even more, let me just read part of the back where it says, Michelle Grip, author of Lost in Darkness, says this book is haunting, riveting, filled with hope. And hope is what we all need right now. Go order it. Amazon, bookstores, wherever you can find it, retail, go get it. Get her book. And it's also on Revel, right? Revel's website. So
Baker
Revel
Book.
Baker Book, division of Revel. They often have lots of deals too. So make sure you go check it out. And
not quite, Gabby.
It's not gonna do it.
Here we go. There.
Yes, Baker Bookhouse actually is having a sale where it's 40% off if it's pre-ordered and free US shipping.
Well, if you didn't already have an incentive to go buy it, there you go.
There you go.
Everyone loves a good deal.
Yes.
No excuses. And come find us on Deliver Me a Pod on Instagram and on Twitter. Let us know what you think about this book. I don't know, depending on time, maybe we'll jump on here on the Instagram live and just do a little book club thing. I don't know. We'll see. That'll be fun. We're like trying to jump on the Instagram lives more. So order The Lost Melody, and we will talk to you guys all again. Thank you again so much for being with us, Joanna. We always have such a fun time chatting with you.
Yes.
It was such a pleasure. I enjoy you girls so much.
Likewise.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.